What can I earn with 1 pound of copper? I started with this right here. 1 solid pound of copper. It's a heavy, beautiful piece of metal. I took it down to a local scrapyard and they offered me $4.85 for it. I said, "No, thank you," and walked away. I refused the sale because I was on a mission to figure out what this metal was actually worth. And that one decision led me down a rabbit hole that revealed how this exact same pound of copper with the same weight could be worth over $500. The journey from less than $5 to over 500 is all about understanding one crucial thing: the difference between something being scrap and it being a raw material. This is the story of that journey, and it's going to make you look at the stuff around you in a whole new way. Section 1. The baseline. Understanding the scrap value. All right, let's start where most people do, the scrapyard. What's behind that initial $4.85 price? That number isn't just pulled out of thin air. In the scrap world, not all copper is the same, and knowing the difference is the first step to getting the most money, even if you only ever plan to sell it as is. First, you have the top tier stuff, bare bright wire. This is pure uncoated copper wire that's thicker than a pencil lead and has a brilliant shine like it just came out of the factory. Because it's so clean, it gets the best price, which right now is around $4.85 a pound. A step down from that is number 1 copper. This is also clean copper, but it can be tubing, pipe, or clippings. The key word is clean. No solder, no paint, no heavy green corrosion, and no brass fittings. Plumbers doing new installations often end up with a lot of this from their cutoffs. This usually gets a slightly lower price, maybe around $4.50 a pound. Then you've got number 2 copper, which is what most household copper is. This is where you'll find copper pipes that have some solder on them, maybe a little paint, or some corrosion. It also includes copper wire that's thinner than 1/16 of an inch. The yard has to account for these contaminants and the work to get them off, so the price drops again to around $4.20 a pound. Finally, there are things that have copper in them but aren't priced as copper. Think about an old electric motor or a power transformer. An electric motor can be heavy, but most of that weight is just the steel case. The valuable copper inside is wound up tight and is a real pain to get out. Because of that, you're not paid for a pound of copper, you're paid for a pound of electric motor, which can be something like 40 cents a pound. So when the yard offered me $4.85, they were giving me that premium bare bright price for my clean 1 pound bar. This is the absolute floor. It's the value of this metal as a waste product to be melted down with very little effort. It's a fair price in that context, but it completely ignores the potential locked inside. For most, that's the end of the line for a piece of copper. But for us, it's just the starting line. So we've set our baseline, but the real magic happens in the transformation. If this is sparking some ideas for you and you want to see more deep dives into the hidden value of everyday things, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It lets the algorithm know you want more of this, and you won't miss the next project where we turn something totally normal into something incredible. All right, let's get back to it. Section 2, the transformation from scrap to sculpture. Okay, so we've established the scrap value is just under $5. That's our floor. But what happens if we stop seeing this as a chunk of scrap and start looking at it as a raw material? What if we add some skill, some time, and a little creativity? This is where the real value gets created. To prove it, I took another pound of copper, identical to the first one. But instead of going to the scrapyard, I went to a workshop. The mission was to turn this industrial bar of metal into a piece of art. This isn't just about melting it down. It's about reshaping it, respecting the material, and making something someone would want for its beauty, not just its weight. And let me tell you, the process is intense. It starts with a whole lot of heat. You need a forge or a torch hot enough to get the copper glowing a brilliant fiery orange, which makes it soft enough to work. Copper is an amazing conductor, which means it heats up fast, but that also makes it tricky. You have to learn its language, when it's ready to move and when it's about to crack under the strain. Once the copper is hot, the hammering starts. And this isn't just random banging. Every single strike has a purpose. We decided to forge a complex three-dimensional sculpture, a series of intertwined hand-hammered leaves that form a small, elegant centerpiece. The first step is called drawing out, where you hammer and stretch the thick bar, thinning it into the long sections that will become the stems and leaves. This part is loud, it's a workout, and it takes a steady hand. You're not just hitting metal, you're guiding it. After the basic shapes are there, the detail work begins. This means switching to different hammers, chisels, and punches. Each leaf needs veins. Each stem needs a gentle, natural curve. This is where the artistry really takes over. You have to add texture. A smooth finish is one option, but a hammered surface catches the light in 1,000 different ways, giving the piece depth and making it feel alive. We used a technique called planishing, using a smooth-faced hammer to create a faceted, shimmering surface. Then comes the finishing. This means hours with files and sandpaper, smoothing every rough edge until every surface is perfect. Finally, we used a careful heating process with a torch to create a stunning patina, a rainbow of blues, purples, and deep reds across the copper surface. This isn't paint, it's a chemical reaction right on the metal, and it makes every piece totally wiggy. The last step is to seal the whole thing with a clear coat to protect that beautiful finish. The whole thing took over 10 hours of skilled work, from the first fire to the final polish. What started as a simple, dense bar of metal was now a delicate, intricate piece of art. It still weighs exactly 1 pound, but its value has completely changed. Section 3, the reveal, the astonishing difference. So, here we are with our 2 identical pounds of copper. One journey ended at the scrapyard gate with an offer of $4.85. The other journey ended here in the workshop, transformed into this. This isn't just a pound of copper anymore, it's a one-of-a-kind handcrafted sculpture. It represents skill, a vision, and hours of hard work. So, what's it actually worth now? To figure that out, we looked at similar handcrafted copper art sold by artisans and in galleries. Small, detailed copper sculptures, especially ones with a unique flame patina, are in demand. They aren't sold by the pound, they're sold as individual works of art. Based on the level of detail, the time we put in, and the prices of comparable pieces online, a conservative appraisal for this 1 pound sculpture is $550. Let's really put that in perspective. On one side of the scale, you have the scrapyard value, $4.85. That's what you get for the material in its most basic form. Then, way over on the other side, you have the artistic value, $550. It's the exact same material, the same element from the periodic table. It weighs the same in my hand, but we multiplied the value by over 110 times. This incredible jump didn't come from some market swing or from finding a rare type of copper. It came from applying human ingenuity to it. So, what can you earn with 1 pound of copper? As we saw, the answer is a lot more interesting than just a single price. This journey showed us that the scrap price is just the floor. It's the absolute minimum. But it is definitely not the end of the story. The real value in any material is rarely just its commodity price. It's what can be done with it through knowledge, skill, and a change in perspective. By just understanding the different grades of scrap, you can make sure you get a number 1 price instead of a number 2 price and earn more for your haul. But by seeing that same metal as a raw material for something new, you enter a totally different world of value. It just proves that the most powerful thing we have for creating wealth isn't the material itself, but our ability to transform it. Value isn't just found, it's made. So the next time you see a piece of discarded pipe or some old wire, don't just ask what it's worth at the scrapyard. Ask yourself, what could this become? What other common materials do you think are hiding some incredible value? Let me know what I should investigate next down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to follow along. Thanks for watching.